Welcome to the Patreon NHL Ice Guys, and welcome to the free skate edition of the show for the month of January. Every month we do one free edition of the show to everybody. That way you can at least see us and be able to basically see what we're all about. See that the Ice Guys is still in existence. It's been a while now since we've been on the SBR platform and the free platform. We've been on Patreon doing the Ice Guys show now for well over a year. And we've had a great time doing it. So we're thrilled to be here on the free-for-all edition of the show. It's great to have, and everyone, there we go, Alex is here too. We got everyone in the house ready to rock and roll for this free-for-all edition, free skate edition of the Ice Guys. Jimmy Murphy, his camera's got issues, so that's why we can't see him, but he's here.
I'm here.
Audio form, there you go. He's here in spirit. He's ready to break down the Tuesday card. And again, we're here every day, 7 days a week, doing this show for our Patreon subscribers and members for $10 a month is the subscription for it. And with it, you know what you get. You get breakdowns of the NHL crew, of the NHL card every single day. Every game we break down for you right here on the show. Side bets, totals bets. We're throwing in a lot of goal scoring props lately in terms of recommendations on the show. So there is just a bunch that of great info and hopefully winning info that we provide on the show. So if you're one of the people that are tuning in today on the free-for-all but are not currently a member and you like what you see, by all means, subscribe, because again, it's a very reasonable subscription charge that we provide, just $10 a month for what we think is the best damn NHL daily betting coverage that there is anywhere. So hope you enjoy this show. We've got a Tuesday card to break down. Let's get right to it. I know I was going to go around the horn and introduce everybody, but I know a couple of guys need to get going later this hour. So we'll get right to it. Winnipeg, Carolina, first game on the card. Got Carolina minus 175 to minus 180 home favorites, total 6 shaded to the under in this one. The Carolina Hurricanes obviously beating the Islanders in their last game in a shootout. Prior to that, they had lost 3 in a row, though, and struggled, losing to Washington, Columbus, as well as Anaheim. A real bad loss there because they were minus 210 favorites in that game. They lost to the Ducks, but they get it done. And Justin Williams' return to the Carolina Hurricanes, his first game of the season for the Hurricanes, helping them, and with the shootout winner as well in that game. On the flip side, you got Winnipeg struggling mightily. They got clobbered 12-2 in their last 2 games against Chicago and Tampa Bay. Didn't play well defensively. Injuries mounting. Tucker Poolman out on the blue line. Now Adam Lowry out, of course, fourth liner. Key player, key integral player away from the puck as well. Penalty killer. They'll miss him dearly. He's going to be out a minimum of a month. So the hits keep on coming for this Winnipeg team. However, I view this as a kind of a dig down deep, a sense of urgency setting in. Paul Maurice, the captain, as well. Blake Wheeler talking after the Chicago loss Sunday night. We have to treat these last 2 games before the break. And Winnipeg is the only team in the league that has 2 games left before the break because they're playing tonight and tomorrow night in Columbus as well. They're treating this like, hey, we've got to get going. We're out of the playoff mix now. We're on the outside looking in for the first time in a while. We need to bring our best. Put our best foot forward here these last 2 games before the break. They've actually matched up quite well against Carolina head-to-head. The Jets are 4-1 in the last 5 head-to-head meetings. They've won in each of their last 2 visits to Carolina. And I look at this as a spot where Carolina's laying a price where they've lost 3 in a row, and the only win to snap that losing streak was barely, by the skin of their teeth against a New York Islanders team that can't get out of their own way right now. An Islanders team that's lost a bunch in a row, lost twice to the Rangers, collapsed against Washington in the third period, lost again on Sunday. So it's not like Carolina's dominating teams to the degree that you can trust them at this price. And I think you're getting the best of what Winnipeg has to offer. They've been better on the road all season than they've been at home. They actually have a winning record on the road. I think this is a good live underdog price, and I think the situation is good. I think when you look at mindset, who's going to be more focused? I think Carolina might be already on break mode, especially because they're off a win. I don't think Winnipeg will be on break mode. I think this is a road trip. This is a business trip. We need to right the ship. We got to play better hockey. I think win or lose, they're going to play better hockey. I see this as a tight game, and I think I'm going to get plus 165 in that range with a team that I think is going to bring it tonight. That's more than enough for me to endorse the Jets at plus 165 in this game. That's the side for me. I think Winnipeg's got a chance here in this game, and they have done well recently head-to-head against Carolina. And, you can talk all you want how ugly the last 2 games were. Let's not forget, guys, Chicago's playing well right now. Tampa Bay's playing well. no shame in losing to those two teams. Maybe some shame, obviously, in how you lost to those two teams, but no shame in losing to those two teams the way the Blackhawks and Lightning are playing. So I think we got a live dog here with the Winnipeg Jets. Andrew, let's get your thoughts here. Winnipeg, Carolina.
Very similar thoughts for me as well. I don't think Carolina should be priced at the price that they're at right now, judging based off their past 10, 15 games. They haven't impressed me that much to be, around $1.70, $1.75. This is a great underdog spot here for this team, for Winnipeg, especially. Like you said, you kind of close with it. This is a team that, lost a real tough one to Tampa Bay. We'll give them that one. But Chicago is playing some pretty good hockey. They're scoring right now. They lost to Nashville, lost to Boston, losing to some pretty good teams, and then they had a win against Toronto. They've been competing in a lot of games. Like you said, though, those injuries are going to hurt them. They've been one of those teams you can kind of look at all season long, where we've seen, guys like Nathan Beaulieu, even having Dustin Byfuglien out for the whole year, not really knowing what his issue is or his situation. Now Adam Lowry, a guy that's not really a main goal scorer for them, but, those depth guys certainly do matter. When you look down the stretch of games and, looking for line-by-line matchups. But I'm going to go ahead with this Winnipeg Jets team here. I think that they have a good shot at coming out strong in this one. And it's a great plus price. So value-wise, the best angle here is on the Winnipeg Jets. And I actually also want to take a look at the over in this game. And, might come to a surprise to some people because Carolina playing the under big time. What is it? 2-1, 2-1 again, 3-2, 2-0, 2-0, 3-0. They're on an absolute under terror because, but I think this Winnipeg team, they bring out the best of teams as far as over goes. They're one of those teams that I have classified that want to play a fast-paced game. They're kind of sloppy in their own end. And it would not shock me whatsoever to see this one go over the total. We're getting a plus 105 price here with the 6. And let's not forget, a lot of Winnipeg totals are 6.5s. Wouldn't be surprised to see Carolina go over the total here in this one and get the job done. Maybe even a first period overlook as well, a fast start to this game.
Yeah, Winnipeg to me very much an over team the last few games. Carolina not so much. So it's but definitely Winnipeg actually. I remember they crushed Carolina last year in this building, 7-1 or something like that. So hopefully that happens again or close to that. It means the over would cash in that case. But I do think we've got a potential for a live dog here with the Jets. Alex, let's get your thoughts here. Jets Hurricanes.
Yeah, I agree with the mantra of the first period over here in this one. I think this will be a fast start, but I think overall we're going to see this kind of slow down a bit. And looking at how this Jets team, how they played in that game against the Hawks. They made a ton of mistakes in their own zone. They were very sloppy and careless with the puck. So yeah, you could say that would lead to Carolina finally getting back on their offensive momentum and getting some goals. I just don't see that. I see this game trending under in a full atmosphere. I just don't see where, especially with losing a guy like Lowry. Like I said, he's not the biggest goal scorer, but he's that two-way kind of guy that can facilitate chances and limit chances coming the opposite way. That's a huge loss for them, like I said. And just having it's a team that seems to have chemistry issues right now. So just having one more piece off the ice for this Jets team just seems to not bode well. I get it. The plus price, it makes sense. I wouldn't be laying a price here with Carolina at all right now, the way that they're playing, even at home, even with the break on deck. I just think this could be a game that starts at like a 1-1 pace, and then we just completely see it slow down. So more than likely, Winnipeg will probably get the win, but I can see it being like a 3-2 kind of game. So I'm going to look to jump into the under after that first 20 minutes.
All right, looking at a live under potentially after the first period for Alex. Jimmy Murphy, what's your thoughts here? Winnipeg, Carolina.
Hey, guys, you hear me okay?
Hear you good.
All right, perfect. Yeah, you know what? I'm right with you on this, Ian. Where you're talking about this being a good spot for Winnipeg. I'm with you the way Carolina's playing lately. And I think, too, if I'm not mistaken, this is Carolina's last game before their break and their bye week, right? So, that's the danger you got to look out for with these teams right now that are headed into that break, is that they haven't set sail already. Half of these guys might, in their brains, be off to the Bahamas or Jamaica or Aruba somewhere. And it's only natural that they're like that, So I think it's a good chance for maybe the Jets to catch the Hurricanes sleeping there, thinking about their vacation and pulling off the upset. So I'll go with you, and I'll even go further. I'll take the Jets in regulation.
Jets in regulation. Wow, that's a really good price on that.
And give me the first period over as well.
And the first period over. All right. So Jets in regulation. As I'm bringing this up here. All All right, here we go. Jets in regulation is plus 275 with the Jets in regulation. That's a big price there. And if you're not familiar with Jimmy Murphy's plays on our show, he'll go for some big regulation line prices. We call him Jimmy Puck Line, as you see on the marquee, because he's not scared to lay a puck and a half and get a great plus price on the return with that bet. And he's going for it here with Winnipeg in regulation tonight, plus 275, and also looking at the first period over 1.5 as well in this game. First period over currently at around minus 135. So first period over for Jimmy with the Jets and the Hurricanes. All right, next game. Is it just me, or does it seem like these two teams have played a million times the last few weeks? The Islanders and the Rangers once again head-to-head against one another. I believe this is the third head-to-head meeting between the Islanders and Rangers in like the last week and a half to 2 weeks. It's been obviously a front-loaded schedule. They've loaded up January with Islander-Ranger games, and we've got another one here. The Rangers minus 115, home favorites, 6 the total. Shaded to the under. Another showcase spot for Alexander Lee. He's in net tonight for the New York Rangers in this one. I can't back the Islanders right now. It's a confidence-less team. They're finding ways to lose on a nightly basis. Some nights they're playing a little bit better defensively and they don't score. And then there's some nights they get the goals, like against Washington, and all of a sudden that great ballyhooed Islander defense collapses and falls apart. So it's been a little bit of everything causing this team problems lately. It's not been a consistent, strong effort and performance at both ends of the ice simultaneously for the New York Islanders during most of their recent games, and that's why they're having struggles right now. And they've definitely had struggles with this Rangers team. I mean, the 2 games they've played head-to-head this month, Rangers won both of them in very impressive fashion, 6-2 and 3-2, 9-4. The combined score, the 2 games earlier this month in favor of the New York Rangers over the New York Islanders. You know how I feel about the New York Rangers team. You know, they did lose to Columbus, I know, Sunday night, which snapped their win streak, but that was a game that was right there for the taking. Oliver Bjorkstrand scoring the game winner in the final minute. It's not like the Rangers were badly outplayed or played a terrible game. It was just a close game, and Columbus scored in the final minute. I mean, it's nothing really to be ashamed of for the New York Rangers. I certainly like the way their game's trending. I certainly think Georgiev and/or Shesterkin gives them a better chance to win every single night than Henrik Lundqvist. And I think the Rangers are realizing that now. I can't even remember now the last time Henrik Lundqvist got a start. Kind of tells you where he stands right now in terms of the Ranger goaltending carousel that's going on. It's a 3-leg carousel. He's the 3rd leg right now. I mean, they've definitely got Georgiev and Shesterkin rolling ahead of him right now in terms of priority of getting them in the net. And that seems to be the case once again tonight with Georgiev on tap to get the start. So to me, it's the lean to the Rangers. I mean, just a lean because, you know, the Islanders are certainly coming into this game thinking, we can't lose to these guys 3 in a row, can we? But they're not playing with any sort of confidence with the puck right now that I can trust them. So it's a pass for me, but from a side perspective, I could probably only look to the Rangers here. 6 the total being like that. It's really tough right now because the Islanders aren't an over team in theory, but their defensive game's kind of eroded to the point where it's probably a lean for me as well to the over. But again, this could be a game where maybe the Islanders do dig down and do wake up and say, hey, we can't be giving up the goals we're giving up. And then they try to revert back to that 2-1, 3-1 style of play. So tricky call for me, side and total. But I don't want the Islanders right now. If I were to bet it, it would be Rangers or pass for me. Andrew, we'll get to you here, Rangers and Islanders.
Yeah, I mean, look, I pulled the trigger on the Islanders here. The type of way that I handicap is a lot about what's coming out of a locker room, what the coaches are saying, what people are saying, and everything right now tells me that it just seems like this Islanders team is plenty more motivated than the New York Rangers are going to be. And that's the way it looks to me. I trust this Islanders team to look to end their, first half on a great note. I mean, you look at their collapse against Washington. They gave up 3 goals in the 3rd frame. They've been into a shootout against Carolina. They're having these close games now. I mean, they've lost, I think, 7 of their last 10. I think it's, they're 5-10 their last 15. It hasn't been impressive whatsoever. But in their last few games, they've been almost there. And, Anders Lee is talking about how, he says we take pride in what we do. He says, these games are leaving a bad taste in our mouth. And I feel like, losing 2 straight games to the New York Rangers, that's got to hurt. And no matter what anyone says, losing to a crosstown rival is not a good taste. I mean, it does not feel good, not once, but twice. like you mentioned, Ian, third time they're playing in this month alone. But the only real impressive win that this Islanders team has had this month has actually been against the Detroit Red Wings. And, I think me, you, Jimmy, and Alex can beat the Detroit Red Wings. So that doesn't really mean much, to a certain scale. But I certainly, I look at Varlamov right now as well. He's got sitting at 2.59 goals against average. I think he'll get the job done and buckle down. This is going to be a really good game where, the Islanders come into it and really play their defensive style of hockey. I would look towards the first period under possibly. I know the Rangers are kind of opposite, where they're playing a faster pace. They're taking teams into high scoring games. But I'm telling you, I really do feel like this is all going to be the Islanders type of game. They're going to be more motivated, more ready to go here, the hungrier team. And let's be honest, I mean, most of the time I'm a recency type better. But if I would have told you that, you could get this good of a price with the Islanders versus the Rangers, probably at, opening night of the season, I think we would all be putting everything we have on the Islanders. So this is kind of a spot here to go with some pride, show what you have, and try and get back to playing a good defensive style before the All-Star break. That's the way I'm looking here. And when it comes down to it, it's still a great price.
All right, New York Islanders -105. A great quote from Barry Trotz talking about the loss to Carolina on Sunday, the 2-1 shootout loss. Even though they lost that game, this tells you the way he wants to play. It's like he's just got a love for low-scoring hockey. He's like, it was a real good effort. I would take this style of game every single night. It was a playoff-style game. That's what I want. Yeah, that's what he wants, 2-1. He's basically saying it right there. I don't want us playing 6-4 with Washington on Saturday. Even though we lost playing the style I want our team to play against Carolina. So you're right. I think looking at the Islanders and looking at the under tonight is not a bad way to go, in my opinion. If the Islanders play the way their coach is telling you, basically after the last game, the way he wants them to. Alex, how about you? Do you get involved in the Battle of New York here?
I didn't, but if I had to play something here, it would be the Rangers. And this is a thing that I hear constantly every single year. We're going to hear it coming up now as we roll into the month of February in college basketball. Oh, well, they beat this team twice. There's no way you're going to be able to beat this team 3 times in a row. It happens all the time. These two teams are familiar with each other, but the fact that the momentum is all on the side of the Rangers right now. We've won 4 of the last 6, won the last 2 meetings. Like I said, 7 of 10 losses for the Islanders in their recent form. They just aren't playing as well. And okay, Trotz wants them to play a 2-1 game, but listen, some nights you got to throw out what you want out of the window and go with what you have. And sometimes you have to, get into those 4-3, 5-4 dogfights, but you got to win those games too, especially coming into the second half now against a division team. You can't be dropping points against teams in your division. You got to be able to claw and at least get into overtime in some of these games, but you need to blow some teams out too. And if they want to really make a statement tonight, then they need to go on and win this game in a un-Trotz-like fashion. A 6-3, 6-4 win is something they need for them going into the break. But with that being said, I don't see that happening. I see this Ranger team continuing to roll. He said Georgiev's been playing well. He knows he's pretty much on the showcase role and audition role to get moved somewhere. And I think that's building confidence for him. He knows, hey, I'm keep playing well. Either I stay here and keep this helping this team move along, which could be a possibility because it seems like the Rangers are asking for quite a bit in trade talks, or I get traded to a contender and I can keep this good momentum I have going and then move on to a team that I know is going to be in the playoffs and then continue to play well from there. So his mindset is in a sharper frame than, say, like you said, Henrik Lundqvist, who's, kind of worrying about, okay, if I'm going to get any ice time. Is this team going to get back into the playoff race? Or is it still just going to be mediocre the rest of the way? So all the things right now are rolling positive in my head for the Rangers. And at a pick and price, I would be leaning heavily with New York tonight, the home team of the Rangers.
All right, so a lean only to the Rangers, but definitely would be the Rangers if Alex were to go in that direction from a side standpoint. Goal scoring market, I do want to throw one out there because he's going to be incredibly priced, and he's actually been very, very good of late for the New York Rangers in terms of being able to find the score sheet, and that's Jesper Fast. He's plus 425 to score. He's scored 3 goals in his last 5 games. And considering what you've seen in terms of recent production and some increased minutes from Jesper Fast, plus 425 is a damn good price. I mean, it's, again, rolling the dice a little that he gets on the score sheet tonight, especially if the Islanders are going to dig in defensively. But at that price, plus 425, I think it's worth a couple of bucks at least to see if he can get on the score sheet. Jimmy, what's your take here? Rangers Islanders.
Yeah, I mean, you guys broke this game down great, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. And for that reason, I'm going to stay away from this one just because, we might get that Rangers team that continues to play the way they have against the Islanders and other teams lately, or we might get an Islanders team that wants a sense of redemption before they head off on their break. So I'm going to stay away from this. I think it'll be a good game. And, I think both these teams, guys, are going to be very interesting to watch when they come back from the break and, of course, heading into the trade deadline. I don't think the Rangers have any misconception about where they are in terms of the bigger picture. But if they're within striking distance, I mean, you never know what they might do. And then, of course, the Islanders, I think, are going to be looking for some scoring. So could they call the Montreal Canadiens on an Ilya Kovalchuk if the Canadiens decide to use him as an asset? So they'll be very interesting to watch and to see how the Rangers continue to play going forward, because I think this is a team that has a ton of potential, may not be there yet, but they're starting to realize that potential, and they're fun to watch.
They are. And again, all they needed was, some of these young goalies to get a chance, and they've played well. There's no question about that. And we'll see if Georgiev can step up. Georgiev might not be a Ranger, of course, at the trade deadline. We'll have to see if they get the deal. The Rangers need to get the deal they want before they ever pull a trigger on a trade like that. But we'll see if they get the return they are looking for if they indeed make that move. Vegas and Boston. Boston minus 150. The total shaded to the under, minus 120. Total 6 in this game. The Bruins again. I mean, this has now been that it's becoming a pattern. It's becoming a habit now with what's happened. Boston. They've blown so many leads the last month or so. And it happened again, obviously, Sunday afternoon against the Pittsburgh Penguins. That really dig down, complete effort lasted one game, and the first meeting against Pittsburgh in Boston last week reverted to some same problems again last week. Or Sunday afternoon against Pittsburgh in the rematch. Bruins unable to hold a lead. We know that's been an issue with them a couple of times. Of course, Pittsburgh with the offense and with Crosby back, they're never out of a hockey game, and certainly made the Bruins pay the price for some errors they made in the defensive zone. It wasn't a great game for Yaroslav Halak. Again, he had a great game the first meeting against Pittsburgh, but I think there was not his best performance on Sunday. He's back in net tonight, of course, with Tuukka Rask out. So what do we get from him tonight? I know this Vegas team, I was going to see if maybe that Ottawa game was a sign of things to come. Maybe it was because they played Ottawa that they looked so good that night, because they had a horrible first period against Montreal on Saturday night, fell behind early. Credit to them to battle back and actually tie the game in the final minute. But unfortunately, they lose in a shootout to Montreal 5-4 Saturday night. Again, this is a team that's really having a tough time in their defensive zone. I mean, Montreal could add more goals, believe it or not, Saturday night. And that's obviously something that Peter DeBoer is tasked with trying to fix for this team, but it doesn't look like this fix is going to come easily or going to come quickly here in this particular with this particular team at this point in time. I think it's definitely going to be something that might take time for this team to, that's what got Gerard Gallant fired. It was their play in the defensive zone, too many goals against, and starting to become a problem again for this Vegas team, certainly Saturday night against Montreal. So you got two teams that are lacking a little bit of confidence and fluidity on the blue line right now. So I'm going to stay away from the side. I think it's very tricky. I don't want to lay this price with Boston, but I'm not sure I want to trust Vegas again after what I saw against Montreal, but I will expect some goals tonight. There's some holes in both teams defensively here. So Vegas and Boston for me over 6 plus 100. Even money price is the way I'm going to go with the Golden Knights and the Bruins. Andrew, anything for you with this one, Vegas and Boston?
Yeah, I'm going to stay off this one here for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to be just a great game to watch, and it's one of those ones. Same reason as Jimmy has. Where too many variables. There's too many different things I can expect out of each team. Let's start with number one, the price. I mean, this is a price that I'm not comfortable backing right now with the Boston Bruins here. Even with this Vegas team coming to town, I mean, they've been playing a lot of tough games. I mean, and they've come out on top in a few of them. They've been battling hard, and they've found their scoring touch again. But even that home and home against Pittsburgh definitely took a lot out of them. I think the Bruins are actually a team that's excited for this break. They're going to need that break and come out really, really strong for the second half. Whereas Vegas might be that same kind of mentality as I'm talking about with the Islanders, where they want to end this half on a good note. I mean, they want to come out here and put up a good performance. like you said, they showed some pride in that game against Montreal, coming back, end up losing it in a shootout, but a loss is still a loss. And the fact is, I don't feel comfortable laying anything with this, grabbing this Vegas team at a plus price. This isn't even worth it for me right now with them, how poor they're playing defensively. But this Boston team, I would lean towards them, but getting my initial bet, gun to my head, would be the over 6 here. I feel like the Bruins are scoring more. They're being involved in higher scoring games. Vegas is giving up goals left and right. And they've kind of found their scoring touch as well. So, unless Vegas kind of really clamps down on defense, they got a great goaltender in Marc-Andre Fleury, but he hasn't been top notch either. So if I were to make a play in this one, it would be in-game over, actually, or pre-game. But this game starts out slow. I'd look for an in-game over.
Yeah, in-game over perhaps. I mean, in addition to the full game over that I'm on in this Vegas-Boston game, I'm also going to take a look at Riley Smith of the Vegas Golden Knights plus 190 to score. 6 goals in his last 9 games. He's been by far the hottest goal scorer lately for this Golden Knights team, and maybe he can get on the score sheet at a nice price. Plus 190 for a guy that scored 6 goals in 9 games. I'm always interested. Alex, what's your thoughts? Vegas and Boston?
Yeah, I like the over in this one. Like I said, these are two teams that got to be saying, hey, let's just get out of here and get to the break and regroup with this time off and then get things rolling back, because it's just been really ugly, especially for Vegas. We talk about the dichotomy of them. They're a much better home team than road team. But especially when they're on the East Coast, it seems like they really struggle. They seem to struggle more than West Coast or East Coast teams do when they go out west and play in that triangle of Vegas and Arizona and the California swing. So that's something they have to start looking at seriously moving forward. Just how they struggle at times. Even the better team that they had last year did the same thing. So I just see this being a back and forth game with goals. Like I said, it's more of a guys going to be kind of a bit distant from the rink. And so that's going to lead to, some lagging defense. So give me the over 6.
All right, also the over 6 for Alex B. Smith with Vegas and Boston. By the way, the latest on David Krejci, game time decision. He didn't take any contact, though, in practice from what I've seen. So that makes me think he's probably more likely not to play than play. But again, we don't know for sure. We won't know until the pregame skate later tonight his status for the Bruins when they take on Vegas. Jimmy, obviously you've had a lot to write about with this Bruins team. They've kept you busy. They've kept they've given you some interesting writing with their up and down roller coaster ways. What do you think for the Bruins tonight?
Guys, I don't know what to think with this team right now. There's such a Jekyll and Hyde, not even within, game to game, within games. As you've been saying, these blown leads are really coming back to haunt them. I don't know where their confidence is at this point. It can't be too high. So I'm going to stay away from this game, but I like what you guys were saying, especially Andrew, with the live betting. I think that's the way to go with this game, considering where both teams are at right now, just the way that they've been playing in recent games. I think, this could be one of those games where maybe there's not scoring for a while, and all of a sudden you get it in buckets. So I would just stay away from a side and a total overall, but definitely look at this game if you can watch it. And I believe in Canada it's on Sportsnet. So,
yes. Yep.
If you can watch it and bet within the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And they always pick up every time it's a Bruin game on Sportsnet, they're always taking the Bruins coverage, the Bruins feed with Ness and with Jack and Brick. Just the way they always do it. They want to give you. I think they want to give you Jack's crazy, zany, homerish ways. I think that's exactly why. So Jimmy, Jimmy, mute your mic there. Yeah, Never. There we go. All right, excellent. So there we go. I'm Vegas and Boston. Yeah, over for Alex and I in this game. So we'll see if David Krejci plays. And like I say, I'm looking at Riley Smith as well to score a goal tonight. We'll see if he can get on the score sheet for the Golden Knights. Plus 190, and again, he's scored 6 goals in the last 9 games. Battle of Pennsylvania, Keystone State battle. Pittsburgh Penguins, Philadelphia Flyers. We've got Pittsburgh minus 125 to minus 130 road favorites. Total 6 shaded to the over, minus 115. Last time these two teams met, 7-1 Pittsburgh. It was a debacle. It was a blowout. It was an awful performance from the Flyers. So definitely, I think that's in the back of their minds here tonight against this Penguins team. It's really what kept me off Pittsburgh. I was leaning to them from a side perspective. And Philly's been good at home. We've talked about it. You'd rather back Philly at home than you would on the road. They've been much better at home than they have been away from Philadelphia. So we'll see if that trend continues tonight. I know Trevor Loudon in the chat's asking about Brian Rust to score. I wouldn't talk you out of that. If you want to bet it, go for it. I haven't looked into it yet, but I know he's scored in back-to-back games. He scored against Detroit, scored again against Boston on Sunday. You could do a lot worse than betting Brian Rust to score right now for the Penguins.
I like it
very, very
I
well.
like it.
I do too. I mean, I certainly I wouldn't talk you out of it. I think it's a decent way to go. And again, you'll get a little more value with Brian Rust, for instance, than you would say Crosby and Malkin and some of the other guys. You know, he's a little bit down the totem pole when it comes to the goal scoring props. And you look at it right now, Crosby plus 145. Actually, Rust's ahead of them. My bad. Wow, they've actually got Rust plus 135 ahead of Crosby. You can see why. I mean, he's been absolutely fantastic in terms of goal scoring. So I'm staying off the side. I am on the over in this game just because of Pittsburgh. I feel offensively, an improved team. Philadelphia, they shut down the Kings. That was a great defensive performance against the Kings. Can you do it now against Pittsburgh? I think that's something that remains to be seen a little bit. So for me, I'll go over 6 minus 115 in this game between the Penguins and the Flyers. Just expect to be an entertaining game. And I really think the Flyers they're going to give Pittsburgh a game. Question is, will they win the game? And I'm not sure, but I think it'll be an entertaining game, competitive game. We'll see some goals, and I'm going to go over the total in this one. Andrew, your thoughts on Flyers Penguin?
Yeah, plain and simple for me. This is a simple ride the hot team situation in my eyes. This is what you want to be back in the Pittsburgh team right now. I've been talking ad nauseum about how this team is a team that we have to start taking seriously as a team to make a real push here, especially out the gate of that All-Star break. They're going to come back rejuvenated, ready to go, rested. They're getting healthier, and this is a team that's not only winning games but winning the close games. That means a lot to me as a bettor and a handicapper looking to back this team. With Crosby back, I mean, everyone said that it would take a few games to adjust with them. But with him being back, I don't think it's been much of an adjustment. I mean, he's been nothing but great for this team so far and added so much more to it. Only 3 losses in their last 10 games. And during that span, they're beating teams, like Boston, Arizona, Colorado, Vegas, some pretty good teams in this league, and scoring at least 3 or 4 goals during that span. This Philadelphia team to me right now, they're just too up and down. I mean, I just don't know what I'm going to get out of them on a day-to-day. That win they had against the LA Kings, look, it's the LA Kings. Everyone's beating the Kings, and everyone's beating them at a pretty good margin right now. It's not really anything to pride yourself on. They got caught in a bad spot against the Habs. They lose 4-1 to the Habs. A few games before that, take on St. Louis. They come out on top. Boston, they come out on top. They're a team that you just can't trust on a night-in, night-out basis. The way I see it is, if you like Philadelphia here, bet the over. If you like Pittsburgh, grab the money line on Pittsburgh. The way I see it is, if Philadelphia wins, it's going to be in a very, very sloppy game. Nobody is slowing down this Pittsburgh offense right now. Tristan Jarry in nets for Pittsburgh. We got Brian Elliott in nets for Philadelphia. I definitely trust Tristan Jarry a lot more right now. And, Brian Elliott, he's showing up against teams that aren't really scoring, against teams that are pretty solid up front. He hasn't really been ready there. And a lot of it has to do with their defense as well, because Brian Elliott struggles with rebounds, and it seems to me that his teammates are never really there to bail him out with the rebound control that he has. So I'm going to go Pittsburgh here at a pretty decent price. I got on it last night, guys. I expected it to move quite a bit, but it seemed like there's been quite a bit of money on both sides. So we'll be interested to see how Philadelphia comes out tonight. But I'll probably have a little bit. You know what? I'm going to go ahead, Ian. I'll give out the over as well on this show. But like I said, I do like Pittsburgh as the money line side here.
All right, Pittsburgh minus 125 and over 6 minus 115 for Andrew with the Penguins and the Flyers. The guy I'd look at from a goal scoring perspective for the Flyers right now, without a doubt, would be Travis Konechny. I'm shocked. Actually, shocked. We'll throw it out there. Travis Konechny's plus 200 to score tonight. He's been excellent. I think that's a really good price for him. TK, as they call him in Philadelphia, Travis Konechny plus 200 to find the scoreboard tonight. That's value in my opinion. Alex, did you get yourself involved here with the Flyers and Penguin?
I did. I'm on the first period over. You got that minus $1.40. It's been bouncing around between $1.35 and $1.50, so definitely shop around with this. But both teams have been trending to the over the first period. 7-3 run for the Flyers. 9-1 the last 10 for Pittsburgh. It's actually more like a 14-3 run the last 17. They've been getting off to a very fast start, and I expect to see that here. Said this is a series that's been an over-dominated series. I don't know if it's going to go over in the full game. I think we could see some the pace slow down maybe middle of the way and then kind of build up back in the third. But I think within the first 20 minutes, we should be able to get at least 2 goals from both of these teams.
All right, so over 1.5 minus 140 first period for Alex B. Smith with Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Reminds me of the Pittsburgh-Boston game. It can happen. It did happen that night where it was an explosion in the first period and then the game stayed under. So hopefully not, but we'll have to wait and see on that. All right, Jimmy left us, so we'll get his thoughts on Pittsburgh-Philadelphia when he re-enters the chat. Obviously, he's had lots of camera issues as well. But on we go. Last game on the – oh, there he is. He's coming back now. Jimmy's here. Jimmy, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. What do you like here? Pittsburgh, Philly.
I'm all over the over here, guys. I like the first period over and the total as well.
All right, good stuff. First period and full game over for Jimmy with the Flyers and the Penguins. Moving on down the card, I should say. Last game on the card for tonight, this Tuesday slate. And again, thank you for tuning into our free-for-all show. Not only their subscribers, but the people joining us for the free show. We appreciate it. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. For those of you thinking about subscribing and you're not a subscriber yet, that's where you go to join us every single day. If you like this content and want to watch us every day, that's where you go to subscribe, patreon.com/Ice Guys. We've got Florida and Chicago, surging teams right now. Chicago minus 120 at home, total 6.5 in this game. Two teams playing well, two teams that have been excellent on the second night of back-to-back games. Of course, that's the case for Florida here in this game. They've won 5 straight on the second night of back-to-back games, so they've been very good in this role. We know Chicago's been excellent in this role. Of course, Chicago's not in that role tonight. They haven't played since Sunday when they beat the Winnipeg Jets, but look at the Blackhawks are playing great. I mean, and you know where I'm going in this game. You know it. I've been mentioning it every Chicago game. Dominic Kubalik, that's where. Score a goal, you bet it. You bet. You better, you better, you bet. Yeah, that's where we're going with that tonight. Once again, Dominic Kubalik to score for the Chicago Blackhawks. Took an empty netter to get there on Sunday with his goal against Winnipeg, but he's somehow finding the back of the net. This guy's pricing is certainly getting not quite as good as it was, 2-3 weeks ago, and you could have got plus 250 and great better prices for him to score, but he's still plus 150. For a guy that's as red hot as Dominic Kubalik is, finding the back of the net, plus 150 to score is still an excellent price in my opinion. And Florida defensively, not exactly a great group. I mean, we saw it last night. They gave up 4 to Minnesota. They couldn't hold leads multiple times. That's going to be the downfall of the Florida team. I mean, their defensive game is still a hit or miss overall. We'll have to see how they fare tonight. They haven't confirmed who their goalie is. It's going to be Leonard for Chicago. It was Bobrovsky last night. Do we get Samuel Montembeault, who's, of course, the backup now because Chris Drieger is injured and out long-term for the Panthers. So if they decide to rest Bobrovsky tonight, you'd be looking at Samuel Montembeault in net for the Panthers for this game tonight. Either way, I like both offenses' form right now. No question about that. I think both meetings, if I'm not mistaken, with Florida and Chicago last year, the one in Florida and the game in Chicago, both went over the total. And that's where I think we get this kind of game once again tonight between these two teams. And I agree with the total move. There is actually some 6s out there with the total early this morning. It's now 6.5 everywhere. But I still like the total at 6.5. I agree with the move up. Florida, Chicago over 6.5, minus 110 for me in this game. Passing on the side. I don't want to go against Florida. They've been good on back-to-backs, but I don't want to go against Chicago. Playing great hockey, pasted Winnipeg, drilled Toronto over the weekend. They got that goal-scoring prowess and that offense rolling. Not a team I'm stepping in front of right now. Chicago's looking and thinking like a team that wants to make the playoffs. And don't read anything into what you saw this morning with this Duncan Keith, Jonathan Taves fight that was happened at practice. It was just, sometimes that happens. You're getting after it. You're in a scrimmage, and sometimes tempers will flare, but that's forgotten about. You move on. It's no big deal. They don't hate each other's guts. I mean, come on. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill here. It's a non-story, in my opinion. We can move on with life. It's not a big deal. Duncan Keith and Jonathan Taves had a little fracas at Chicago morning skate this morning. We can move on, because I don't think it's that much of a deal and not much worth talking about, to be honest with you. So I'm on the over in this game. Andrew, what are you involved with here, Panthers and Blackhawks?
Yeah, I don't really have a strong look in this game, but I wanted to look towards the over when it initially came out. But I see now we're seeing quite a few 6.5s as the total. And I think it was at 6 for most shops. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's you shaking your head. So I think that's what the case was. So now, to me, it's not worth it. But Florida's given up goals left and right. I mean, this is a team that you cannot count on to show any level of consistency for defense. I mean, yesterday. It was one of my lone plays besides, obviously we had just 2 games, but the nightcap. I mean, I had the Florida Minnesota over. I decided to stop fading that Minnesota team and go ahead with the over in that one. We had over 6 and 5-4 was the end result, and they were just scoring left and right for the entire third period. I'm not really going to go against this team, though. I think that Florida will have a bounce back, and Florida will kind of try and solve their defensive issues. But Chicago's in the exact same boat. I mean, they play the exact same way, and that's why it kind of wouldn't cost me off betting over this team.
So then when
I'll go ahead here and actually take a lean to Florida.
I made the line underneath it.
I don't think Chicago's really focused.
Push out.
And
you know what I mean? It's not
a
there
little
yet.
conversation going there, but yeah, I'll go with Chicago and lean at the over, but I can't really get there just based on
like because it's so short right now. It's all here, all of this. There's so much length here that.
Jimmy, you getting a haircut right now?
Yeah, this audio won't stay off. Sorry about that, guys.
That's all right. Yeah,
that's
like
unbelievable. We're getting a home haircut. I love it.
Multitasking.
I know. How about that? Good stuff.
Yeah. My
Haircut
wonderful hairdresser
and a
says
show.
hello too.
I'm going to start calling Jimmy Showtime.
Who's that
Start calling Jimmy
multi-talented?
Showtime.
Yeah. Who's that multi-talented? Unbelievable. But yeah, Chicago Blackhawks. Is that official or just a lean Chicago?
Yeah, I lean Chicago. I just don't think Florida's focused. I mean, the bounce back factor, could be in there. At least, just when I say bounce back with a good defensive performance. But you know what? I just think Chicago comes in here. They're gonna try and get in this noted. I actually really.
Andrew cut out there for a second.
Line.
All right, so just a lean there with Chicago in this one. Alex B. Smith, Florida, Chicago. What are you involved with here?
Yeah, so like I said, the whole fight thing is a non-story because they've all told us it's a non-story. The look on my face when I was reading this morning was none too pleasant because you don't want your captain who's actually finally scoring and one of your older defensemen who's finally playing well to be getting in any scraps with anybody, let alone each other. But like you said, it's just kind of a playful, as Jeremy Collin said, just a big brother, little brother scrap kind of thing. So we can move on. And if anything, now I feel almost in reverse. That's a good sign. They're actually showing some energy, showing some fight, moving along in their 5-game win streak. And they know how they closed out their last break. That last break, as we went into Christmas time, they got their asses kicked by the New Jersey Devils to the tune of 7-1. It was absolutely embarrassing. It was a sold-out crowd, and they just did not show any effort. I think they have that in the back of their minds now here, too. Say, hey, we got this great momentum going into this break. We've already been able to withstand the storm of playing in back-to-backs, playing against good teams like Toronto, teams that usually give us fits like Winnipeg and still find ways to win. I think they're going to come out here guns blazing. So I like the Hawks here in regulation. And I also like the first period over. Got to lay a little bit of a price with that, but we've seen them cash 12 of the last 13 in the first period over. So I'm going to roll with the Hawks in the first period over tonight.
Alex, it's amazing how it's continued. It's right back where it left off last year.
Yeah, and it's the same kind of formula too. I mean, they're getting mostly goals early, but they're also tending to let in a goal late. So it's not so much where the defense is completely failing them. They're actually getting some good stops and getting some good saves. But their offense, like I said, with Kubalik finally getting consistent scoring, Saad back in the lineup gives some balance to that top 6. David Kampf and Kirby Dach have been working well. So you've got 3 lines of consistency that can put the puck in the net right now for the Hawks. If they keep that rolling, they're only 3 points out of that final wild card spot in the West. We could see them, making a serious, legit push for the playoffs after this All-Star break.
Yeah, they look like a team that's ready to at least make a run, make a go at it. That hasn't said, hey, we can't make it. We can't make anything of this season. They're playing good hockey. They're some of their best hockey of the year right now. So Alex is on them. The Blackhawks plus 115 in regulation, as well as over 1.5 minus 145 in the first period. Florida and Chicago. Jimmy, what's your take on this one? Florida, Chicago.
Guys, it's interesting. I was, when I was looking at this game in the morning, I was really leaning towards Chicago, and then one Chris Pronger kind of swung me the other way. I heard him on Hockey Central with the boys there talking about Coach Q's return to Chicago, and I guess they're going to be doing a tribute for him tonight as well. So I kind of look at this as maybe Florida rallies around that and goes in there and steals him a win. So I'm going to take the Panthers in this. I'm going to take the first period over, and I'm going to take the over total.
All right, so that's 3. That's
Yep.
Florida Panthers money line.
Just the money line, yes.
All right, Florida minus plus 100, I should say, as well as the over in the first period and the over in the full game for Jimmy. So that's over 1.5 minus 145 first period and over 6.5 minus 110 for the full game. All right, that is the breakdown of the Tuesday NHL card, as we always do before we sign off. And I will be on Dominic Kubalik to score. You better believe it. We're not passing that up again. But nevertheless, hope you enjoyed the show, everybody that's tuning, everybody that's a non-Patreon. Of course, we hope you enjoyed the show if you're Patreon. Of course, I don't want to make it sound like only the people that aren't Patreons enjoy the show. But those of you that aren't a subscriber, not a Patreon member, and hopefully you enjoyed the show. Again, if you're interested in getting this kind of great hockey betting discussion and coverage and analysis every single day during the season, we're here. It's the Patreon NHL Ice Guys. It's $10 a month, and you can sign up at patreon.com/Ice Guys. All right, let's recap everybody's Tuesday night card. Jimmy, we'll start with you. You've got Winnipeg in regulation plus 275. Winnipeg, Carolina over 1.5 minus 135 first period. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia over 1.5 minus 140 first period. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia over 6 minus 115. Florida plus 100. Florida, Chicago over 1.5 minus 145 first period. And Florida, Chicago over 6.5 minus 110. Are you going to use a best bet tonight, Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Chicago on that, with the Chicago to win money line.
Or Florida to win, you mean?
Excuse me. Yeah, Florida. Sorry.
There you go. Florida to win money line. All right, best bet Florida plus 100 for Jimmy. Alex B. Smith, Vegas, Boston over 6 plus 100. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia over 1.5 minus 140 first period. Chicago in regulation plus 115. Florida, Chicago over 1.5 minus 145 first period. Have you got a best bet?
No best bets. Everything just 1 unit.
Just 1 unit tonight. Andrew McGinnis has Winnipeg plus 160. Winnipeg, Carolina over 6 plus 105. New York Islanders minus 105. New York Islanders, New York Rangers under 6 minus 105. Pittsburgh minus 125. And Pittsburgh, Philadelphia over 6 minus 115. Andrew, any best bet for you?
Best bet's going to have to be the Islanders. I like this spot here. I'm telling you, I think they'll be a lot hungrier than this Rangers team. It'll really impress me if this Rangers team can shut down this Islanders team for a third straight. And honestly, I want to point out, especially because this is a free show here, a lot of us are against each other all the time. Alex is saying his points about why the Rangers are favorable. I agree with a lot of those points as well. I'm not really saying that, just because it's like they've lost 2 times, that they have to win the third one. I feel like, you can definitely see the exact opposite too. I mean, it seems like they're having a tough time against the Rangers. So for everybody out there, the best part about our show is not just the picks, but the discussion that we all bring up, because I'll be the first one to say that I learned from each one of these guys. And, even during the show, we're all chatting back and forth. And, each day, I think doing this hour-long show helps me stay focused on each and every team. So for me, I really just do feel like this Islanders team comes out to play here tonight. They're going to be hungry. I think they're a better team overall. It's just a matter of if they're going to, keep slumping or finally get out of it.
Yeah, and like I say, I find, it's great. Sometimes good to have, disagreement. If everybody agreed, there'd be no betting market. If people were all on the same side betting the same team in every single game, guess what? There'd be no such thing as, a sports betting marketplace. There'd be no bookmakers. There'd be no odds makers. There wouldn't be a reason to set betting lines. Everybody would be on the same side. So I like it sometimes when there's a disagreement, and it's all friendly disagreement. And again, you're not always going to be on the same side. All right, my card to wrap it up. 4 plays. I decided no best bet tonight. 4 plays, all 1 unit across the board. Winnipeg plus 160. Vegas, Boston over 6 plus 100. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia over 6 minus 115, and Florida, Chicago over 6.5 minus 110. That'll wrap up the show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the January free skate of the Patreon NHL Ice Guys. We will do a free show in February next month. Date, of course, to be determined. But again, we will be having at least one free edition, free skate Ice Guys show every month for the remainder of the season. We'll also do a free show once a month during the playoffs as well in the spring. We'll be doing some live shows at night eventually. For those of you that are Patreon subscribers, I want to throw this out there right now. We will be doing some live in-game NHL shows in February, occasionally in February, occasionally in March, because again, March gets busy with the the NCAA tournament and other things going on. But we'll do some occasional live shows at night. It'll be a rotating cast. Whoever can do it. If I can do it, if Alex can do it, if Andrew can do it, if Jimmy can join, it won't necessarily be all four of us every show, but it's whoever can do it that particular night. We'll start that up in February, March. We'll definitely do more of them in April and May when the playoffs start for sure. Definitely get some live shows in there. And to get access to all those live shows when we start those live in-game betting NHL shows, you have to be a subscriber. You have to be a Patreon member. And to sign up, patreon.com/Ice Guys. You'll get that as well as all our additional, of course, our daily shows that we do every single day breaking down the card. All right, that'll wrap it up. Enjoy your Tuesday
Good
night.
stuff.
Enjoy
Good
the
luck,
games,
everybody.
For Andrew, for Jimmy, for Alex, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Thank you for watching. Good luck on the ice. And for our Patreon subscribers, we'll see you tomorrow for our final show before the All-Star break. Have a good night, everybody.